Okay, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the ISM Manufacturing Trade Room, 10-minute trades. My name is Lee Goldstein. I'm the trading director at 10-minute trades. Please remember, everything we discuss, all the trades we discuss are for educational purposes. It's possible to lose money trading futures, so trade carefully, please. Okay, the markets are opening right now. And also, I want to thank everybody that's watching us on YouTube. We're streaming this trade room. Good morning, Jody. So this morning I traded a couple of the bank rate statements and lost $200 trading them. One trade, I just really didn't trade it well. I traded it after the news and got in a little bit too late, but just for transparency, I just want to let you know because I'm using that account. And the Bank of England just didn't move. It filled me and then didn't follow through. And then the ECB didn't move much, and I thought that I could get in after the trade, and I really got in late. So anyway, so what we've got is ISM now. There's a second trade that I used to pay a lot more attention to before the world went into this crisis mode. But since the crisis, the final manufacturing PMI just hasn't been an effective trade to or effective news report to trade. So I want to it's at 9:45. So I'll just show you a couple of quick videos. Mark, oh no, I thought you were talking to me, Mark. Sorry. Usually the news conference is better to trade, or a lot of times on the banks, if you're a discretionary trader and you want good moving markets, trade the news conference after the bank statements. They move markets a lot because the markets move on their statements, everything they say. It tends to move the markets. So it's challenging because it's moving up and down sometimes, but sometimes they'll make comments that are similar throughout the news conference. In other words, meaning it might be bullish comments or hawkish or bearish comments, and that sometimes will give you a trend. So what we've got here are two events. The first event has become very inconsistent. Let me just show you. In January, we were watching it, and I had set up a couple of trades. I was testing the NQ. It's a 9:45 event, and the NQ filled and immediately reversed. Not a big fan of the NQ on this report in general. I've been testing it for a while. It's been tough to get it to work. I used to watch gold religiously on this trade, on this event, and it just has been completely inconsistent. Here's what it looked like in November. And I'm really not even that interested in even setting up a trade. I'll watch it, but I'm not going to trade it in the future anymore. We have a lot more interesting things to work to trade. I just don't feel like spending my time on a report that for years hasn't given us any money. Hasn't taken money because it hasn't been tradable. I've traded it a couple of times, but gold barely moved in November, and sometimes it will move. That's the definition of an inconsistent report. Sometimes you'll get a target one, or sometimes you'll get all your targets. But a lot of times it won't do that month after month after month. It'll give you a winning trade. It'll stop you out twice, winning trade. It's just, and it's a small report also. It's not that big of a report. So I'd rather concentrate on the ISM services report. The market looks at that a little bit more seriously. And then after that, we'll hang around for natural gas, which is interesting these days. So let me show you. So ISM services, let me pull up the daily market report. Did anybody trade the ADP report live yesterday using our settings? Did anybody trade the ADP report live using our settings? David, how did it go? It looked like a winner to me when I tested it. It looked like it would hit the first two targets. If you used a third target, it looked like it would have reversed. So, okay, so people are saying it was good. So did it hit 3 targets, Mark, or did you do it as a 2 target? And Fred, you too, did you do it? Tell me, and David, tell me how you traded it. 2 targets. Yeah, it looked better as a 2 target trade. It looked better. So what we're talking about, folks, is I tested it after I got back yesterday. Fred, it was definitely a good 1 target trade, no doubt about that. I was a little bit concerned because there could have been slippage. That's why I wanted to talk to people in the room. I'll show you what the test looked like, but testing is not the same as live. It was a decent move, though, which was nice to see. It was a decent move, but it looked like a pretty low volume, fast move. So I would have traded 5 contracts, at least, on that report. It's one of my favorite reports. And I had targets of 7, 13, and 25. I did pretty much what I said I would do in the video. 7, 13, and 25. Now, keep in mind, I'm using replay, so that's the clock we're looking at because I was not available in the morning yesterday. So the news comes out. It's quite negative, okay? The news was quite negative. Gold bursts up and pulls back a little bit, but not so far that it would have stopped you. So it looked to me like a 2 target trade. 7 and 13 worked. The burst might not have filled my 3rd target, depending on slippage and volume at the time of the burst. So, but it looked like a good moving report. So I'm glad to hear it was a winner because that's what it looked like. That's what it looked like, Mark, that you would have been best not doing anything, just let it play. And this report's been reversing a little bit. That's what it's been doing for a couple of months now. All right, so, and it was quite negative. Was quite negative. The report, they were expecting, I don't remember what they were expecting now. I don't remember, but I remember seeing quite negative, very negative. All right, so let's look at the daily report for ISM services. And this report is trading better. It's got 4 nice winners in a row, okay? Prior to, but it was benched December 2019 to June 2020. It really wasn't behaving for quite a while, but it looks like it's behaving better, quite a bit better. It's had 4 winners in a row, okay? So it's been working better. I'm just going to wait. Let's watch. I'll set up a quick gold trade for final manufacturing. I'm just going to set up a 7-tick. I'm going to set up an 8-tick target. Bracket, I mean. Time of morning. 9:45, very difficult time to trade. I much rather like the industrial production capacity utilization trade, 9:15, before the market opens. I think it offers a better profit possibility as a small trade. So I would go for 6 ticks, 12 ticks on my second target, a stop of 10, entry time of 9:44.59. Just a breakout. All right, so one target of 6 ticks, a target of 12, a stop of 10, bracket of 8 because of the time of day. Entry time 9:44.59. Let me record this real quick. I just can't stop myself from looking at reports that I've been looking at for years. I keep saying I'm going to let this one go, and I really should. I mean, it's been years. It's not even worth keeping a file folder anymore. And then after this, we'll set up the ISM. And then we'll be back for Amazon. And I've got a lot of research to do, extra research to do today on Amazon. Amazon's an interesting one. They released their earnings. Look at, very difficult to trade. Now that move, if I was trading live, all right, I would probably cancel the trade. That would be a canceled trade. That's what we mean by an unexpected move in the index before the news comes out, okay? Now, I'm not going to cancel the trade because also my charts were spread a little bit, but it's still too big a move. So that would probably be a canceled trade on gold, but I'm going to let it play out because I'm just testing this morning. Eight tick bracket. So it looked like it filled. Now you have a big trend down, so you could just get the benefit of the trend, and the news is positive today. Okay, it's unexpectedly positive. Theoretically, that should push the price down, and it did. Okay, so that looked like a news trade. So this is the frustration of this report. It does that occasionally, but you saw the last two videos that I have didn't do it. So, and it didn't do it last month either. So, you know, you might be dealing with a gold trend. We might be dealing with a gold trend today on ISM. I think the market makes for a tricky trade this morning because we're trading gold, and gold is volatile. And I think a 6-tick bracket, it's a little bit worrisome. It's a little bit nerve-wracking. Let's see how much the market calms down. So our ISM services setup would normally be a target of 7, a target of 15, target of 7, target of 15, stop of 10, bracket of 6. That's a small bracket, right? It's a small bracket. Now I want my bracket perfectly set up on the chart. I'm in sim, I'm just testing bracket bracket size. So this is, this is volatile conditions. Now we're 13 minutes away from the trade. So we're going to have 12 more candles, 12, 13 more 1 minute candles. We may get what I'd like to see. I would like to see calming down of the index. Okay. I don't want to see gigantic candles before a trade. Okay. Don't want to see gigantic candles before a trade. Prefer not to. So like I said, we have 12 more candles. And I do notate trend mark in my journal. I'm doing it more and more, definitely. And I absolutely notate when we have a trend, what I call a trend trade. Now, that last report, I wouldn't call it a trend trade. That was really a news trade. It traded and responded like a news trade. There are differences in the way that the indexes respond. And sometimes they'll just move steadily down in a trend, which is not the same as a news move. And you have to learn to recognize the moves, right? And that last report was clearly a news move. When it jerks down or up, it's almost always a news move. And sometimes it's delayed. Don't hate to say it, Mark, because I'm trying to decide what to do with tick strike. I want to test it. I'm testing it, and I just have to talk to the owners of the company, make sure they're okay with testing. I don't see why there will be any issue. So I don't think there will be any issue. So our setup, just to go over it one more time, my concern is getting filled before the news comes out because our bracket's not that big, but the market is starting to calm down. So my setup is a bracket of 6, a 7-tick target, and a 15-tick target. And I think the second target should be bigger because the last 4 reports moved pretty good, pretty well. So I'm going for a bigger second target, hoping that maybe there'll be a good solid move on that second target with the index. My first target is 7. And the entry time is 9:59:59. Okay. You can trade MGC, Jody. I don't particularly like MGC unless a trap trade. On a trap trade, it's okay. It just doesn't have good liquidity. It doesn't have good liquidity. It has bad liquidity, and sometimes it doesn't work well. Sometimes the liquidity is so lousy, it doesn't work well on trap trades. So sometimes you just don't get normal responding markets. Normal responding behavior to the index is what I mean, not normal responding markets. Normal responding behavior to the index. So, and it's, I don't ever know, you don't seem to know when it's going to behave and when it's not. It's just not a great micro. And part of the issue is gold is lower in its liquidity in general, right? That much we know, than some other instruments. I'm just curious. What's going on with not really concerned about oil at this point. I'm just curious about the index volume. NQ's got not bad volume. Gold will have much smaller volume than the NQ. See, NQ is like, and NQ is not known as being the highest liquidity, because when you compare the amount of orders on the ES, it's more than double, or it's almost exactly double the NQ for today anyway. And I'm just curious, how about the euro? And the euro is somewhat in between. It's a little bit lower than the NQ, higher than gold. So we'll see. So are we dealing with a trend trade, right? There's a pretty strong trend in gold right now. Pretty strong trend in gold. Let me fix this. Get the news the way I like it. So it takes up a lot of room. There's a lot of elements to the ISM report. So it shrinks that second trading chart. Now, obviously, you do have better consolidation. I wouldn't call it strict consolidation. You're still moving down, but it's calmer than those two candles. Now, you could say maybe that's from the trade. That's the trade candles. So that's okay. We're okay. We're all right. We should be fine. And that was a big move today. Unexpected data also. Unexpected data. So folks on YouTube, thanks for watching. Why not give us a couple of likes if you like listening to us trade the news and the events, and give us a why not sign up for the channel and hit the notification bell. You'll know the next time we're streaming. It'll be tomorrow for the US jobs report. It's a big trade. And you know, you can still join us for Amazon on www.tradeearningsnow.com. You can come in, trade Amazon with us, and next quarter there's a deal up there if you want to join us and trade earnings next quarter. It's been a fun earnings quarter this quarter. We're trying to find a couple of other extra trades also. I mean, we never used to trade Tesla. I think we're going to safely add Tesla. I think we have a good idea what time they release now too. So Tesla looks like a new addition since they changed the time that they release. Just checking my time sync by going to the website time.is. So Tesla is definitely an add-on earnings trade. Something moved during that Apple trade. Chantal, did you ever figure out what you think it might be other than US Steel? Chantal, go through the whole trade and then you could end. So YouTube, we're going to end our stream after this trade is over. A couple of minutes after the trade's over. So thanks for joining with us. Did AMD move the market yesterday? That's what I didn't get to look at. I don't think so. I don't think they did, because didn't AMD come out before Facebook? I thought they did. Chantal, the only way, I just cannot believe that US Steel moved the market as much as it moved that day. It might have been a random move, but there's an easy way to find out. And that's by looking at the previous US Steel earnings report and the NQ. So I'll check it. I'll check it last quarter. I just don't think it's US Steel. So ISM, no idea if it's going to be a positive trade, positive news or negative news. Absolutely no idea. My gut feeling, no, I don't even have a gut feeling. It's just, it would be a guess. Positive is my guess. I don't know why. I have no reason to think it. No reason to think it. I'm just thinking about, some of the reports, how the news has been. Some have been good, some have been bad. There hasn't been like a specific trend that, most of the reports have been good, most of the reports have been bad. We haven't really seen that. So our orders will go on the chart about a second before the news comes out. This usually responds fast. I hate those dull fills. I hate them. It's gonna stop us out. It's gonna stop us out. Too bad. I just, 4 in a row, folks. 4 in a row makes for difficult trading. On this report, the news was negative and it was mixed. So you had positive news. It was not a very big offset, not a very big offset. And maybe, what we're dealing with is just a trend in gold to the opposite direction. That's what's frustrating. That's what's frustrating. So I got to get ready for natural gas. We got to get ready for natural gas. We could watch this for a minute or two. It's hard to believe that the previous report moved so much better than this. The previous report was so much more positive. It had a much bigger offset. So if you look at that previous report, let me pull it. 51.1, 51.2 on the services, but it's still hard to believe it would be that big of a move down from the services, final services. It's just very surprising that there was that big of a move in the market. A little bit surprised. So I want to thank everybody on YouTube for watching. NQ is not a good, I've tested NQ on this report, Steve, doesn't work. Doesn't trade well. We don't trade NQ at 10 o'clock. It's not a, you don't get a reliable, trustworthy news move. You may sometimes have positive trades, but it's not because the NQ is moving to the news half the time. NQ, ES, they move at 10 o'clock, news or not. So it's not consistent. It's not consistent, unfortunately. All right, folks. So let's look at, we've got a half hour for natural gas.